is ZeBirdBrain, and today we are talking about the select tool. So the select tool is one of the most commonly used tools into the software, and I apologize for not covering it any sooner. I guess I just had too many things to cover. So as usual, if you want to know more about the select tool, you should really read the documentation about it. And you can find all the cool information about the tool, such as like how to access it and what every little thing into the tool property window does. So please read that. But also I'll cover it into the video, but it's always better to read the doc to get the full picture of a tool. Okay, so back to Harmony. Where is the select tool? The select tool is located on the top left of your toolbar. And if you click on it, you'll select it and be able to use it. But if you click again, or like hold it, depending on the OS you're using, you're gonna see the sister tools. So there's also select by color, cutter, and reposition all drawings. You normally shouldn't use reposition all drawings. I think it's more like a legacy tool. I know I used it like more than 10 years ago when I did hand-drawn animation. So we're not gonna cover that. We're gonna cover the select tool and briefly the select by color and cutter because they're sister tool to that one. So select tool, the black arrow, you click on it. What does it do? The select tool allows you to move artwork. Now, what is artwork? Because that's a very wide concept. So a drawing in Harmony is what is on a layer. It is not a layer, it's what the layer contains. So if I look at this little Tricio here, by the way, Tricio is a character created by Renee Rivers, and it's part of Bad at Being Good, which is a project that we're doing together with friends. It's a very, very fun project. But for the Tricio specifically, Renee created like a TikTok page where he posts some little cute animation that are there just to make you feel better, encouraging you to listen to like your mental health needs and stuff. So it's just a very feel-good kind of animation. I will also put the link into the description and I encourage you to go see it. It's very cute. Here Tricio is encouraging you to keep learning because there's always something new to learn, which is good because you're here learning from this video, so amazing. Okay, so back to the video. This is the Tricio, and if I click on the layer, I'll see it into my node view. It's this little layer. It will be pink. Pink means it's a layer you're selecting. If I move it, I will need to move with my transform tool, and what I will move is the layer, the whole thing. You're not moving the artwork. If I want to affect the artwork of something, I need to click, on the layer first, but then I click on the select tool, and when I make a selection, it'll be orange. Orange means it's the artwork. Orange is the artwork, pink is the layer, yellow is the peg, and sometimes if you have multiple pegs selected, it's going to turn red, but it's still, peg information. So if you're moving something and it's pink, you're not moving the artwork. And if you're moving something and it's orange, you're not moving the layer. So always be aware of that. So with the select tool, what we do is we affect the artwork directly. Okay, so if I look a little to Tricio here, if I take the select tool and I make a selection, I'm going to select, at the moment, everything on the layer. And when I mean everything, I mean from the line art, color art, overlay, and underlay, so everything. If you want to select something just on one of the art level, you have to go into the tool properties, and we're going to explore that, okay? So into the tool properties, there's a bunch of useful things, such as here, apply to line art and color art, which should really be called apply to all art levels because it means it's going to affect all of those. So if I right click and I select, I'm going to select across all the levels. If I uncheck it and I do this again, I will select just the line work. Of course, if your image was separated accurately, which the line art and the color on separate levels, right? But this will allow you to move only one of the two. So that's the apply to line art and color art. And when you make a selection, what do you do with it? So I'm going to show you here. If I make a selection, I can either select it by making a lasso like this. You can also press on Control or Command A to select everything in your image. And note that if you make a marquee, if you release, it's going to kind of close the gap for you. You don't really need to finish this circle. You can just do this and it's going to work. And the other important thing to note with the select tool is that you don't need to, select fully something to select it. If you just make a line like this, it's going to select like everything that is in its path. And if I go here to show you the lines, but it's going to make it a bit clearer. If I want to select this part of his hat, I don't need to, select the thing fully. You can just click on it or like make a line. And Harmony understands that it's a full stroke, okay? So that's important. And then to move it, super easy. Once you have something and you want to move it, you can just click near the center to move it. If it's a very thin line, sometimes it can be hard to click on the shape to move it. That's why into the properties we have this one, which is easy drag, which will allow you to click everywhere into the bounding box. If this is not active, I need to either click into the center, like I said earlier, well, near the center, because if you click on the center, you move the pivot, and that's another thing. You click near the center to move it. And other than that, you would need to really click on the line, and sometimes it's a bit hard because the details are a bit thin. So you can always click there, and this will allow you to click everywhere into the bounding box. The downside of this is that if I'm trying to select this line, then I can't because, it's within the bounding box. So I usually have this on a shortcut so I can activate and deactivate it easily. Because now if I deactivate it, I can just select my lines even though it was part of the bounding box that I had. Okay, so I have a love-hate relationship with that tool. It's useful, but sometimes it's frustrating. And when you have something selected and you want to move it, of course, you can just move it like I said, but you can also scale it. You can rotate it by clicking near the corners. And finally, you can also skew it by clicking in between the little dots here to skew it. What sometimes people don't know is that you can also click on something, and if you press on Shift, it's going to scale proportionally. But also, if you select something, let's say I take this art, you can also press on Alt and then select one of the sides here. And if you, drag it, it's going to kind of scale from both sides. So if I don't press on anything, I just click and drag, I'm going to, squash it from the top to bottom. But if I press on Alt, it's going to take top and bottom and bring it towards the center. Okay, so Alt and drag is going to do this. To select multiple lines, you can also just make a selection, and then if you press on Shift and you make more selection, or just click on more lines, you can add to your selection. If you want to remove lines from your selection, you press on Alt and Shift, and it's going to give you this little minus lasso, and then you can remove from your selection. So lasso alone, then if you press Shift, you're going to have more lines to your lasso, and if you press on Shift and Alt, you're going to have the minus lasso to remove your lines. Last but not least, I want to just quickly introduce you to the sister tools. So there's a select by color. Select by color is going to choose every line of that same color on a drawing, which is very, very useful for many reasons. My favorite reason is that if I have a layer such as this little flame here, and I notice that I forgot to color some lines, or like that these lines are not the colors that I want, I can always just click on all the lines of that color and then go change them into my colors here to put like another color. And what is amazing is that you can pair it with the apply to all frame buttons, which I have a full tutorial about it, so I'm going to also link it into the description. But if you click on this, you'll be able to select all the lines that have been using that color across all the frames. And then if you need to do anything with them, like scale them or change them or even delete them, you can do that. So select by color, apply to all frames is very great. One other thing I like to do is I can also right click, go to arrange, and send them to back or bring them to front, which is very useful when you have complex animation and you need to put some colored lines in front or behind others for the whole duration of the scene. And the other thing that I want to show is the cutter tool. The cutter tool is a sister tool, like I said, from the select tool. And the difference is that the select tool selects a whole stroke. So even if I make this, it selects all the information. If I press on the cutter instead and I do this, it's going to be smart enough to understand where the pencil line or the artwork stops. That's it for today, and I hope you learned a bunch of new stuff. I know it's a pretty basic tool, but we never stop learning. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye!